Imagine for a moment the quiet spaces of your life, the places where no voice echoes, where even your own thoughts seem to drift like leaves caught in a forgotten wind. Have you ever wondered why silence follows you there? Why, despite the noise of the world, you feel a gentle nudge on your soul, as though something or someone is trying to reach you? You see, when life grows loud and chaotic, when your heart pounds under the weight of uncertainty, God does not compete with the noise, He waits. But there comes a moment, a sacred, divine moment, when the waiting ends, and that moment is now. Perhaps you've sensed it. Perhaps you've brushed it off as a fleeting thought, a passing feeling, or the weariness of your spirit. But I am here to tell you, this isn't just emotion. This isn't coincidence. God needs to talk to you, and it has to be right now. The world will convince you that divine moments arrive in grand stages, marked by lightning strikes and trembling mountains. But no, my friend, the most life-altering conversations with God begin softly. Often when you are weary, broken, or on the verge of walking away from everything. And yet, right there, when you least expect it, heaven leans in. Right there in the stillness of your tired heart, God says, "Enough waiting, we need to talk." Have you noticed how life delays your miracles? How your peace feels postponed? How your questions remain unanswered? It is not because God is absent. It is because He is waiting for your attention, your stillness, your surrender. But now that delay must end. The ache you've carried, the confusion that's been circling your mind, the prayers you've whispered into the night, God is ready to respond. But for that to happen, you must lean in. You must listen. There is a reason it feels so urgent today. You woke up feeling the heaviness press upon your chest. You've been carrying burdens disguised as responsibilities, disappointments masked as failures, and weariness dressed up as endurance. But God never designed you to carry what only He can handle. And now, His voice is calling, clear, gentle, but firm. Enough striving, enough surviving. Sit with me. I have something to say. You see, your future is hanging on the words He's been longing to whisper. Your clarity, your peace, your healing. It's all tied to this conversation Heaven is desperate to have with you. And the timing? It cannot wait. The distractions are multiplying. The days are accelerating, and the longer you postpone this moment, the longer your spirit wanders in the wilderness of uncertainty. Have you ever asked why your breakthroughs feel delayed? Why your soul feels restless? It's because heaven has been trying to get your attention, but life kept you busy. And now, God's voice is not requesting your time, it's demanding it, not from anger, but from love, not from frustration, but from deep divine urgency. Right now, there are answers hovering above your confusion. Right now, there are instructions waiting to descend upon your destiny. But they cannot reach you if your heart remains closed, your mind distracted, your spirit distant. God has been patient, but the season for waiting has expired. The time for hesitation is gone. This moment, this holy, sacred moment, is the meeting your spirit has been craving. God needs to talk to you. Not later, not tomorrow. Now. Will you listen? Your next breakthrough depends on it. Without His guidance, you will keep circling the same mountain. There is a certain frustration in life that few people can explain, but nearly everyone feels. You strive, you try, you pour yourself into the grind of daily living, and yet progress feels like walking in circles. You pray, but it feels like heaven is silent. You plan, but the plans collapse like sandcastles against rising tides. What if I told you that this cycle isn't punishment? It's a divine pause, a holding pattern. Because your next breakthrough cannot be navigated with your own understanding alone. Imagine the Israelites in the wilderness. They were not abandoned, nor were they directionless. God was guiding them, but the problem was they wouldn't listen. Their hearts were stubborn, their trust fragile, their ears closed to heaven's instruction. So they circled the same desert year after year, longing for the promised land but never quite reaching it. And you, my friend, may find yourself in the same spiritual terrain. Perhaps your prayers have become desperate cries. God, why am I stuck? Why am I still battling the same fears? Why do I feel like the door never opens? But could it be that the next door, the breakthrough you're begging for, is hidden behind divine instructions? And those instructions, you cannot fabricate them, you cannot guess them, you cannot Google them. They are sacred whispers from the heart of God, designed specifically for your situation. But to receive them, you must hear Him now. Your life was never meant to be an endless wilderness. The cycles of disappointment, the seasons of spiritual drought, they were never meant to define you. But God, in His wisdom, sometimes allows delay to teach dependence. He allows the circles to continue when we refuse to pause and listen for His voice. And now, that moment, the moment where everything could change, is upon you. Your next breakthrough is hanging in the balance. It's not dependent on who you know, how talented you are, or how hard you hustle. It's dependent on the divine instructions God has been waiting to release. But He will not shout over your distractions. He will not compete with the noise of your fears, the clutter of your mind, or the busyness of your schedule. His voice comes in stillness. His direction flows from intimacy, and right now, He's saying, enough circles, enough wilderness. Come close, I need to talk to you. Because your next breakthrough is not just for you. It's tied to your family, your legacy, your destiny. The delay ends the moment you surrender to His voice. But until you hear Him, truly hear Him, you will keep walking in circles, mistaking motion for progress. This is why He needs to talk to you now. There's a hidden trap ahead. God wants to warn you before you fall into it. Have you ever wondered why certain moments in life feel uneasy? Why your spirit grows restless before a major decision? Why, despite appearances, something doesn't feel right? That, my friend, is not paranoia. It is not anxiety. It is the whisper of God, urging you to pause, to listen, to let Him speak before you step forward, because unseen ahead of you is a trap, and only divine wisdom can help you avoid it. Life has a way of disguising dangers. Opportunities come wrapped in deception. Relationships enter dressed as blessings but hide burdens beneath their surface. Even success, if pursued blindly, can lead to ruin, and God in His mercy never leaves His children unguarded. But protection begins with perception, and perception begins with listening. And quote, in this lesson there are many ways of worship. God sees what you cannot see. He knows the conversations happening behind closed doors. He knows the hidden motives, the unseen dangers, the spiritual attacks being orchestrated against you. And today, heaven's urgency is clear. There's a trap ahead. I need to talk to you now. Think of how many times your life could have changed course, for better or worse, based on one decision, one relationship, one business deal, one conversation. The enemy works in subtlety, disguising traps as treasures, wrapping destruction in the glitter of opportunity, but God's voice cuts through the illusion. His warnings may not come with thunder, but they arrive with an undeniable stirring in your soul. Perhaps you felt it, a hesitation before saying yes, an unease before taking that job, a sudden pause before trusting that person. That's God. That's His voice trying to redirect your steps, to shield your heart, to detour you from the hidden trap ahead. But how often do we silence Him? We let logic override our spirit. We allow the noise of ambition, emotion, or peer pressure to drown out the still, small voice of God. And yet, when the trap springs, when the betrayal happens, the deal collapses, the relationship breaks, we look back and remember, I felt it. I knew something wasn't right. But God, in His love, doesn't want hindsight to be your teacher. He desires to speak now, before the pain, before the regret, before the damage. His warning isn't fear-based, it's love-based. His caution isn't to imprison you, it's to protect you. And that protection? It hinges on your willingness to listen right now, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient. Right now, your spirit is standing at a crossroads. One path leads to peace, the other to pain. But you won't discern which is which unless you let him speak, urgently, clearly, and without delay. God needs to talk to you now, because unseen ahead is a trap designed to derail your destiny, and only his voice can help you escape it. Unmended man's voice sits like a... You've been carrying pain too long. God is ready to lift it off your shoulders today. Pain has a way of becoming invisible, not because it's absent, but because we've learned to carry it so quietly that even those closest to us don't recognize its weight. You wake up every morning, you go through the motions, you smile when expected, and yet beneath the surface your soul is fatigued. Your heart has been dragging burdens it was never designed to carry, and today God is leaning in to say, it's time to lay it down. Think about it. How long have you been holding on to this? The disappointment that lingered longer than you expected, the heartbreak that refused to heal, the betrayal that echoes like a distant storm. You've carried it into your prayers, your relationships, your decisions. It clings to your perspective, colors your hope, and drains your strength. And yet, despite its heaviness, you've convinced yourself that survival depends on carrying it just one more day. But you were never meant to live this way. God never designed the human soul to be a vault of suppressed grief. He never intended for your spirit to buckle beneath anxiety, regret, and unresolved pain. That's why your joy feels temporary. That's why peace slips through your fingers like water. The weight has become too much. And now heaven is interrupting your routine with a divine invitation. Let me lift it off you. You see, pain thrives in silence. It flourishes in isolation. It grows when you pretend it's not there. But God, who sees every invisible wound, who counts every unseen tear, is ready to relieve you, but only if you stop resisting his help. Only if you stop masking your ache with forced strength and finally admit, God, I cannot carry this anymore. There is power in surrender. There is healing in honesty. And God, in his mercy, never asks you to perform strength. He asks you to release the burdens. He whispers, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. But rest isn't given to those who pretend they're unburdened. It's given to those who finally collapse into his arms, admitting, I need you now. Today is not just another day. It's the moment heaven chose to interrupt your pain and offer relief. The ache you've carried into this season, it can end. Not through denial, not through distraction, but through divine exchange. But the exchange begins with listening, with leaning in, with letting God speak the words your heart forgot it needed to hear. You don't have to carry this anymore. There's a door opening, but only his voice can show you where to find it. Have you ever felt stuck at the threshold of something greater? That strange, unsettling space where you know change is near, but the path forward remains hidden. It's a spiritual tension, a sense that destiny is knocking, yet the door seems invisible. But what if I told you the door isn't missing? It's hidden in the sound of his voice. God is the author of divine openings. He orchestrates opportunities, births new seasons, and unlocks what seemed sealed shut. But often, the door to your next season won't be found through human reasoning. It's revealed through revelation, through listening to the gentle whispers of heaven. And today, God is saying, the door is ready, but you won't find it without me. Too often, we strive to force doors open with our own strength. We knock, we push, we manipulate circumstances, only to find ourselves frustrated and drained. But the truth is, divine doors don't open through human effort. They open through spiritual alignment. And alignment begins with hearing God's voice. Consider the moments in Scripture when destiny turned on a single conversation with God. Moses stood before the burning bush, unsure, reluctant, overwhelmed. But God spoke, and suddenly Moses' future shifted. Saul, blinded on the road to Damascus, heard a voice from heaven, and his destiny transformed. The pattern is undeniable. Divine doors open the moment we quiet ourselves to hear the one who holds the keys. Perhaps the frustration you feel isn't due to closed doors. It's due to missed instructions. God, in His love, won't open doors you're unprepared to walk through. He won't advance you into seasons that your heart, your character, your wisdom aren't ready to sustain. But today, He's saying, it's time. The door is near, but only I can guide you to it. You've waited, you've prayed, you've prepared. But now, the missing piece is not another plan, not more striving. It's His voice. And that voice is calling you now, urging you to lean in, to surrender your logic, and to let Him show you the way. The door to your next season isn't far. It's closer than you think. But without the shepherd's guidance, even the most prepared soul can walk in circles, missing the breakthrough designed for them. But for those who listen, for those who pause, who quiet the noise, who lean into His whisper, the door opens and destiny unfolds. Your spiritual enemies have been whispering lies. God needs to remind you of the truth. There is a battlefield most cannot see. It is not fought with swords or weapons, but with whispers. The enemy of your soul has always preferred deception over destruction because lies weaken you long before the battle even begins. And right now, those whispers have been circling your mind, twisting your perspective, draining your strength. That is why God needs to talk to you now. Because your identity is under assault, and only His voice can anchor you back to the truth. Think about it. The enemy never attacks with full force right away. He starts with subtle suggestions, quiet lies that embed themselves in your thinking. You're not enough. God's forgotten you. Your prayers are useless. Your past defines you. These aren't just passing thoughts. They are calculated darts, designed to erode your confidence and distort your view of God's promises. And if you've been feeling lost, heavy, or spiritually numb lately, it's not by accident. The whispers have been working. The enemy doesn't need to chain your body if he can imprison your mind. He doesn't need to steal your destiny if he can convince you you're unworthy of it. But here's the good news. The lies lose their power the moment you hear the truth. And God's truth, it's breaking through right now. God sees the quiet battles, the ones you fight alone, the ones hidden behind your smile, the ones that torment you in the stillness of night. He sees how doubt has crept in, how fear has started to steal your boldness, how discouragement has been whispering that you'll never overcome. But God's response is not silence, it's urgency. He's saying, I need to remind you of who you are, because your enemies have been lying to you long enough. Remember, Jesus Himself faced whispers in the wilderness. The enemy didn't confront Him with armies. He confronted Him with deception. If you are the Son of God, that's how it always starts, with questioning your identity, your worth, your position. But Jesus silenced every lie with the Word of God. And today, God is ready to do the same for you. You've been walking around carrying accusations that don't belong to you. You've been rehearsing falsehoods that God never spoke over your life. And now heaven's voice is calling you back to truth, to clarity, to the identity God crafted in you before the lies ever formed. The enemy may be whispering, but God is speaking louder, and His words will set you free. You're closer to your destiny than you realize, but without His timing, you'll miss it. There's a sacred frustration that many people experience right before their breakthrough arrives. It's that feeling of being stretched thin, of being on the verge of giving up, of questioning whether the promise was ever real. You look around and nothing seems to be shifting. You pray and the answers feel delayed. You labor, but the fruit hasn't appeared. But hear me clearly, delay is nearer than you think. This is why God needs to talk to you now, because proximity to the promise can also be the most dangerous time. When you're close to stepping into destiny, the enemy turns up the pressure. Distractions increase, and impatience whispers in your ear. If you don't hear God's voice now, you risk making decisions rooted in frustration rather than faith. Destiny is delicate. Arriving too soon with an unprepared heart can turn blessings into burdens. Stepping in prematurely can collapse what God intended to elevate. This is why His timing is not casual, it's critical. And the only way to align with divine timing is to stay close to His voice. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, forgotten in prison, misunderstood for years. Every delay was refining him. Every disappointment was positioning him, and yet, at the appointed time, God elevated him in a single day, from a prisoner to a ruler. But imagine if Joseph had grown impatient, tried to force his way out of God's process, or allowed discouragement to make him quit before the breakthrough. His destiny required preparation, and so does yours. You are closer than it appears. The pressure you feel, the restlessness, the internal conflict, it's not a sign of failure, it's a sign of transition. You are standing on the threshold of what God promised, but only His timing can swing the door open, and only His voice can guide you through it. But you must hear Him now, because rushing ahead, moving without His word, could cause you to miss what's already within reach. Destiny doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to obedience. And obedience begins with hearing, the one who knows the way. Right now, God's timing is aligning with your preparation. But heaven needs your attention, your surrender, your ear tuned to His whisper. The breakthrough, the fulfillment, the answered prayer, it's near. But to step into it safely, you must hear His voice now, before frustration leads you astray. Your soul is weary, your heart is fragile. God needs to breathe life into you now. There comes a moment when weariness transcends the body and sinks into the deepest parts of your being. You feel it not just in your muscles or your mind, but in your spirit. Your soul, the eternal core of who you are, begins to faint beneath the weight of life's trials. And I dare say, some of you listening to this are standing in that moment now. You have pushed forward, you have persevered, you have shown strength that others applaud, but secretly, quietly, your soul is exhausted, not from laziness, but from the relentless demands of disappointment, not from weakness, but from the burden of carrying silent battles no one else understands. You wear the mask of composure, yet behind it, your heart is frayed, your hope stretched thin, your faith trembling at the edges. And it is here, in this fragile space, that God's voice breaks through, not with condemnation, not with criticism, but with the gentleness of a father who sees his child struggling to stand. He leans in, and with divine urgency, He says, "Let me breathe life into you, right now." You see, there are times when survival looks like strength, but spiritually you are running on fumes. You pray, but the words feel empty. You worship, but the fire has dimmed. You press on, but it feels mechanical. Your spirit, the very engine of your endurance, is gasping for breath. God never intended for you to live in spiritual exhaustion. That's not strength, it's starvation. Your soul wasn't designed to run on fear, pressure, or pride. It was created to thrive on His presence, His promises, His power. But the demands of life, the wounds of betrayal, the storms of uncertainty, they deplete what only heaven can replenish. And that replenishment? It begins with hearing Him now. Scripture tells us that God formed man from the dust, but man did not become alive until God breathed into him. That same breath, the breath that sparked life in the garden, is still available. But it comes not through striving, but through surrender. It comes not through religious routine, but through intimacy. And right now, God stands over your weary soul, ready to breathe again. But you must pause. You must listen. You must let Him interrupt the exhaustion, the discouragement, the relentless inner dialogue of defeat. Because His breath brings clarity where confusion reigns. His breath revives dead dreams. His breath restores what weariness has withered. You cannot afford to delay this moment. Your destiny, your peace, your strength, it depends on it. Heaven's breath is ready to fill your spirit. His voice is ready to break the silence. But the timing? It has to be now. My friend, heaven has been trying to reach you. Not out of anger, not out of judgment, but out of love deeper than the oceans and more urgent than the ticking clock of time. You have walked through the wilderness of unanswered prayers, circled the mountains of confusion, and stood on the edge of giving up. But here, in this sacred space, God is whispering, it's time to listen. It's time to talk. You've been carrying burdens that were never yours. You've battled enemies that thrive in silence. You've been standing before doors you couldn't find, hearing lies you mistook for truth, delaying your destiny because exhaustion blurred your vision. But God is not waiting for a better time, a more convenient day, or for you to feel more qualified. The conversation heaven has been preparing for you, it cannot be postponed. Right now, the Spirit of God is calling you, not with thunder, but with the quiet insistence of a father desperate to lift his child out of despair. His words carry your breakthrough. His whispers hold your warning. His breath holds your healing. But to receive them, to rise again, to find the clarity your soul has been craving, you must lean in now. This is not just another sermon, another message, another fleeting moment of inspiration. This is a divine appointment. The Creator of the universe has cleared his schedule for you. Heaven is leaning in, the Spirit is hovering near, and God, with all the authority of love, is saying, I need to talk to you. It has to be right now. Will you listen?